Hello, everybody. This is your host, Martin Spriggs, and this is the WELSTech podcast, episode 348 for July 1st, 2014. It's 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, and I spend that hour every week with the same person, Sally Draper. Hi, Sally.
Lucky you, Martin. Hi, Martin. Lucky me. And we spend that hour talking about technology and ministry and where those two overlap and hopefully learning from each other and from the many listeners of the WELSTech podcast about new ideas for using technology to further the gospel message.
And we have fun every week, and we invite our listeners, viewers, to join us on the journey. If they so choose to do it in real time, you can do that 4 o'clock on Tuesdays, and you're welcome to do that, because if you do, you can participate by asking a question, making a comment, and we will include your feedback, questions, comments into the show. So happy that people do that, and we would like to increase that live audience. That just makes it more fun for us. But whether you do that or not, we're happy that you're here. And if you have listened to any of the last 3 shows now, probably, you know that we're right in the midst of our summer series, a little lighter fare for WELSTech. We are taking some time away from some of our regular features and just kind of focusing on improving that wiki that we've started, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, Sally? I don't know when it was, but it was quite a while ago. It's grown over time, and people have contributed, but it kind of outgrew what it was in, and what it was in we weren't real happy with. So we decided to move to Google and use Google Sites, and we're making it work, and that site is wellstechwiki.gaps for Google Apps, GAPPS. .wells.net. And so if you'd like to see what's there or contribute, that's where to go. And right at the top, and Sally's showing it there on the screen for you watching at home, there is a little link that says request an account. So if you do that, Sally will get a little email and she will sign you up. She has a pretty quick turnaround on that normally, and then you can dive right in. We don't allow edits on those links to the left, which are kind of our core areas that we're going through each week, but you can add subpages, you can edit text, all kinds of stuff, wiki-like stuff that you can do.
Yep, and we have, I guess I need to put a little plug in for my dear son, because we had a big job, Martin, to move the wiki from one site to another, and I encouraged, I don't know how, I hired my son.
Let's say it like it is, yes.
To do that work, and so thankfully,
whatever.
Yeah, that's the word. Most all of the content is moved over from the old site, but we still need to glean through all of that and clean it up and freshen it up, decide, what needs to go and what needs to be updated and that kind of thing. So that's the point of all this summer series of podcasts, is to just look at things. And we've made it through these 2 categories at the top, Bible and church. The next category, communication, is kind of a lengthy category. And last week we talked about copyright issues, some presentation ideas, and promotional issues like newsletters and e-newsletters and surveys. So we're down to social media and content management systems for creating websites, and that's what we're going to focus on today's show. Interestingly, though, the social media section was really sparse, so all that got moved over from the old site was a page about Facebook pages. Back in the day, that was kind of where we all started, was everybody getting on board, getting a Facebook page for their church or school or whatever it may be. And we actually have a pretty lengthy list of example Facebook pages that you can look at and see what other people are doing if you aren't there yet, or just get ideas from what other people are posting for your Facebook page. We have links to help resources and things like that, and like I said, a lot of that has been freshened up as of now, but the world of social media has changed since we started the WELSTech Wiki, so now we have new pages in the social media spectrum. Including Google+, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter.
Those are the big ones, right? And social media probably has changed since the last time we even had this show. So it is a constant battle to keep that updated. And there are some resources on there. I came across a great resource on churches' use of social media, where the author is also a speaker. And her name is gonna escape me. Lauren Hunter, I want to say. I'm not sure of the first name, but she's put together some nice, nifty little guides, ebooks. They're not long, but I included a link to a number of those in. I know I did for Instagram and Twitter. I don't know if I did for Facebook, but they're just real focused on how a congregation could think about using some of these social networks and some of the possibilities. It's not a step-by-step guide. It's not a tutorial, but it is a nice little 1 to 5 things that you could do with it. It's from a website called WELSTech Today, which I think I listed as maybe one of my picks or tips a number of weeks back. I've used this in the past for a couple of presentations as a way to introduce the topic and get people really thinking about, well, I'm a church. How do I use this technology for ministry inside communications, outside communications, unique ways even in some regards. So it's good resources there.
And so on each of these pages, you'll probably find those links. They kind of stand out there from WELSTech Today. I'm looking now on the screen at Pinterest, and like I said, we typically are able to link to help resources and guides and things like that. If we've done past shows, like on Pinterest, we dedicated a whole podcast to it. So I have links there to past podcasts that we've done on the topic, and then relevant articles like the one Martin mentioned. And then what I'd like to do is build out the links to pages. So on each of these pages, I have a list of different accounts on Twitter, different WELS accounts, church accounts, school accounts, Twitter list, all those different kind of things that we could build out and link to on this page so that people could kind of do a one-stop shop if they're looking for WELS resources on the various social media platforms. There's even one for Google Plus where I link to the WELS Google Schools group, and I found a Google Plus community called WELSTech that I think people may be interested in following as well. So check out each of those pages, and please add yourself and your social media connections to those pages so that we can improve it. And Twitter especially, I just didn't have time to build out all the accounts, but I know there's a lot of WELS churches and schools out there using Twitter, and other organizations as well as personal Twitter folks that are part of our WELSTech community. And you might see some of those on some of our lists that we have. Like there's a WELSTech camp attendees Twitter list, so you can just get all the people that were at WELSTech camp, that kind of thing. So check out these pages and feel free to edit and update them.
Great. So that's social media, and if we're missing some social media outlets that you find useful for ministry, we would certainly encourage you to add that. And we're not shy about adding stuff, so it's important that we kind of stay on top of that. And who knows what the next social network craze will be. So
you just had to say that. I think we maybe should list LinkedIn. That's one we don't have listed, but
yep,
perhaps we should expand it. So always work to do on that WELSTech wiki.
All right, so that is one section that should finish off social media. So we've just really got pages for each one. If you are looking for like planning resources or how to maybe incorporate some of these things in, you may find some content here, but we also now have a planning and policy section, because when you're dealing with social media, you definitely need some policies around that for security and how staff works with it, those kinds of things. So that kind of stuff maybe would be best in the planning and policy section. The next area under communication is, and the last area under communication, which we're not going to get all the way through today.
The last area for today.
Yeah, website creation and maintenance. And really what we want to focus on there is the content management systems that are available out there. So most of you are familiar with what a CMS is, or a content management system. It's the tool that allows you to build and maintain a website. And we've talked in the past about kind of the big three open sourcers, Drupal, Joomla, and WordPress, and they're on here. But we've added a few more. Google Sites is now on here, so it makes sense. We're using that for our wiki platform, but they've made some significant improvements along the way. And then another one that you would probably suspect that we would have on here would be Final Web. And we've got a ton of resources, and we'll be adding more. We're teaching a class this summer on it, so we probably will throw in some of those resources to the Final Web page. And it's a good platform that we're recommending that churches consider, and has its pros and cons. And in most cases, we have a pros and cons section, which is great because that gives you kind of a thumbnail view of, well, if I go this route, what am I getting into? And maybe over time we can build up that list of web pages using these systems so you can kind of see them. Final Web, the list is a mile long, 500 congregations, and we don't have those listed there, but I think there's maybe another place where we do. But for WordPress and those that are open source, we could probably use a list of congregations using those and good examples. So.
Very good. So let us know what you're using for a content management system, especially if we don't have it listed. We'd love to expand our list if there's some new and up-and-coming systems out there that are doing a great job for church websites. We want to know about that and share that with the WELSTech audience.
So that'll do it for a little focus on our wiki work for this week, this episode 348. Sally, next week we can give a little bit of a preview, right? We are going to be looking at finishing up website creation and maintenance, right? And that'll be getting started. Where do I start? What kind of resources are available to me? And webmaster tools. What should be in every webmaster's tool belt if you want to manage a website? So look forward to that next week.
Those are some of my favorite topics. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss that discussion. So
yeah, I'll be flying solo next week.
Yeah. So
let's move on to our tips of the week. So I will begin, and my first tip will be a missing manual. It's called Missing Manual for Connecting and Collaborating on Video Google Hangouts. Obviously, Hangouts is what we use for the show, but many of you may be considering a video conferencing solution for all kinds of purposes. It may be, streaming a service, maybe doing Bible class, maybe confirmation class, maybe meetings, maybe something related to the school, all kinds of things. And it can be a very complicated thing. And there's a great blog post here on how to work with Google Hangouts. So they go through step by step, just kind of an introduction. What's the difference between a video call and a Google Hangout? How to get it set up? What are Hangouts on air? They give you a quick tour of the Hangouts user interface. They talk about the Google Hangouts Chrome extension, which I heard is actually going away. They're building that into the Chrome browser, which is good news for anybody using Hangouts. Something that's confusing to a lot of people is how to invite participants. I know, Sally, you and I struggled with this pretty heavily when we first started how to do that. We sometimes are challenged by that and this whole concept of circles and lists and those kinds of things. It talks a little bit about the video window, calendar events, and all kinds of good stuff. How to record a video call. They talk about some third-party tools that you can use there. And then how to collaborate. There's a chat section. There's a sharing your screen section, of course, like we're doing right now. How do you connect with documents in your Google Drive? How do you collaborate on documents? How do you share a slide presentation? And then just some tips and tricks, which we've found over the years now using the tool. How to mute your mic. How to improve bandwidth if things aren't going well. What kind of suggestions maybe for a video cam or an audio microphone. They talk about adding some of the add-ins that are available, the lower third. So just kind of a good all-purpose step-by-step in a lot of different areas. and different maybe uses for Google Hangouts. So that is my tip of the week, the missing manual for collaborating with Google Hangouts.
That's good stuff, Martin. You know, it seems like it's a pretty simple, straightforward tool. There's not that many things to go wrong, and then all of a sudden you use it, and there's a lot of different nuances. Yeah. I've been working with several groups at MLC, helping them get up to speed on Google Hangouts, and you know, we'll get it all resolved in their group of people online together and stuff, and then it'll change the next time they have a meeting. So you really do have to stay on top of that, and you also have to be kind of unafraid and just be bold and click some of those buttons and figure it out. Good old trial and error. What's the worst that
can happen, right?
Yeah. So.
All right. Sal, you have a tip, I'm sure.
I do. We are actually at the end of a very important conference for those in the education technology spectrum. It was just wrapped up this afternoon in Atlanta, the ISTE conference for this summer, and it is the biggie in terms of educational technology. They are the standard setters. They are the place to be if you're into education technology at all. And so even though I wasn't able to be there, like my friend Drew Willems, who apparently was in attendance in Atlanta, we'll have to check on Drew and see how that went for him. But even if you weren't there in person, there are so many ways to engage with it. There's a trending Twitter hashtag, ISTE 2014, #1 in the list of trending hashtags right at this very moment. And just tons of content being shared through that hashtag. Especially as they're wrapping up. There were also images. They had kind of an Instagram contest, and they encouraged people to share images on Facebook and Twitter via Instagram and that kind of thing. So there are a lot of pictures out there of the ISTE experience. They published a new book, introduced a new book called Personalized Learning, a guide for engaging students with technology. So I read a review and can share a link to a review to that book that was published this week. And I do believe that in the next day to 3 days, we're going to be seeing a whole lot of reflective blog posting from the people that were there. They haven't had time to do that because they've been just absorbing all of the excitement and the nonstop presentations and events that you can attend when you're at the conference. But now that they're all headed home and stuff, I think this coming week will be very ripe with a lot of great reflective summary type blog posts. So be on the lookout for those. Maybe we'll highlight a few more in the coming weeks. But I think a lot of good sparks of ideas come from ISTE, and it's perfect timing for those of you on your summer break, getting ready to plan for your next school year and that kind of thing. So keep your ear to the ground for ISTE, and perhaps mark your calendar. If you didn't make it this year, next year they're going to have the ISTE conference in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The dates are June 28th to July 1st. So maybe that'll be your year to make it to the ISTE conference.
Cool. Where is it again for next year, did they say?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, okay.
Mm-hmm.
City of Brotherly Love.
There you go.
Okay, let's move on to our picks section. What pick do you have up your sleeve, Sally?
Oh, I have a pick for you, Martin. I am going to share my screen. Those of you that are watching are going to get your first glance, at least from me, of Google Classroom, a brand new tool that Google will be rolling out this fall. It's at classroom.google.com. If you go there currently, all you can do is sign up to try to get in on the beta, and today was my lucky day, and I got my beta invite and was able to go on and create a sample class to share with you guys, show you a little bit about the Google Classroom experience. So what you're seeing on the screen, for those of you that are able to watch, is something that looks a little bit like a Google Plus or a Facebook page or even an Edmodo or Schoology site. It has a stream where people can add comments, students, teacher, etc. can comment back and forth, and that's pretty much all you can do. You can make announcements, which are basically comments, and reply to those, and then you can do one other thing. You can add assignments and submit assignments through Google Classroom. And so I went through earlier and created an assignment. Basically, you give it a title and a description, and you can even add due dates and things like that. You can attach things, that kind of thing when you create your assignment. And then as students respond to it, you can kind of track how many have turned in their assignments. You can view the assignments here and see what they've turned in. They can add private notes. They can upload documents. And when and I shouldn't say upload, they can create documents right in a Google Drive. And it'll actually name the documents for you and put the student's name, I should back up, put the assignment name and then the student's name in the drive. And so if you go back to your class, you can actually see the assignments all in one place. You can download your grades for the assignment. You can set the grading scale, either this assignment's worth 100 points or 20 points or just 1 point or whatever it may be. And then you can add grades right there in the assignment. If they did their assignment correctly, give them a good grade or whatever it may be. I'm giving you a real quick overview. I guess one thing that I did was I'm able to add students as well. And those students have to be in my Google Apps domain.
So this is really just for Google Apps
users. It is. It's
Yep.
for Google Apps users. So you can see if you're looking at the screen that I added Martin and I added a dummy student account that I have out there on our Google Apps domain. And for the student interface, basically, if they go to the home, and for the teacher, I guess, they can see all their different classes. And there's easy access to the Google Drive where all the upload documents are. Things are uploaded there automatically. And they would have, permissions to see the things that you've given them permissions to see. So they can see multiple classes. Pretty clean interface to, it's not real overwhelming. There's not a lot of extra stuff coming into play. It's just add comments and work on assignments. And if you do the grading, then you just download it in an Excel format, basically, a CSV format that's readable in Excel. So that's what I got so far. I did kind of a crummy job of showing you, but if you want a better overview, Google has a nice little video that kind of walks you through it. And they also have their help stuff up to date as well. So I'll have links in the show notes to that. The other thing that I did was I kind of took screenshots because I'm always wanting to capture the moment. If you go through that introductory process, you never get that again. So I was taking screenshots all along the way as I began to interact with Classroom and the prompts that it gave me and things like that. And I threw all those screenshot images into a Flickr album. So I'll have a link in the show notes as well to a lot of different screenshots that I encountered along the way as I was beginning to set up the class and add the students and things like that. I even have a few from the student's perspective. I logged in as that 5th grade student and did the assignment and took screenshots of that as well. So you can see all that in the link that I provide in the show notes to the Flickr group of images. That's what I got for you.
Cool. I think this is Google's first kind of foray into this area, so I don't think it's nearly as full featured as Schoology or Edmodo, those kinds of tools yet. But if you are Google Apps and you have your students submitting assignments through Google Apps, this is a perfect fit, I think, because you can create the assignment, the assignment submission process and the response and the feedback to the student process is so much simpler than the manual way of doing that with Google Docs. I think this would be kind of a natural for people using Google Apps for especially assignment submissions. So.
Right. It did all the creation for me in my Google Drive. I have a folder that has the class title on it under a folder called Classroom, so it would make multiple folders depending on the number of classes. I'll show you the count
of how many need to submit yet. And
exactly. So pretty slick. And like you said, hopefully it will grow and mature over time, and we'll see more and more capabilities there.
Yep, good deal.
Nice to get a first peek. Thanks, Google, for my my acceptance.
Okay. My pick of the week is called Poll Everywhere, and basically they bill themselves as a live audience participation tool. Poll Everywhere lets you engage your audience or class anywhere in real time through their mobile devices or even web browsers. So what it is a site where you can set up a poll, and you enter in the questions. You can do multiple choice, you can do true and false, or you can do short answer. Once you create it, it appears on the screen, and then they can text a keyword to a particular number or go to the website, which is custom designed for you, where they can click on a link or click on their answer or type in their answer. It's one of the things that led me to this tool was that it integrates with PowerPoint. So you can embed ahead of time this poll, and when you present the slide, that turns it on. And then right at the top of the slide, they see the instructions for how to vote. So they can vote on different things. It can be a survey, it can be a test, it can be a lot of different things. And what's cool about it is you get real-time feedback. So as they're voting on or in your PowerPoint slide, the graph or answers appear in real time. So if it's a yes or no, you see how many voted yes, how many voted no. If it's a short answer, you can see those answers popping up on the screen. If it's multiple choice, A, B, C, D, or E, you can see which one's winning. Kind of like what you see on The Voice or those kinds of tools right now online on television where people are texting. Same kind of deal. So I would think that classes that are outfitted with iPads or Chromebooks or Nexus tablets or whatever, this would be a very cheap interactive system that they could use. The free plan there is a free plan. It includes up to 40 responses per poll, which is not bad. I think that would cover most of our classes. If you go up in size, then obviously you need to start paying up to $15 a month or $65 a month for 250 responses. The free plan doesn't allow moderation, so you don't have any control over some of those short answers. So that may be a problem, but the multiple choice and the yes, no, true, false kinds of things wouldn't be a problem. You can, if you pay for the product, you can do grading and ranking. You can have team competitions, those kinds of things. Those are not available in the free version, but it's real easy to sign up. There are K to 12 and higher ed plans. In the K to 12 plan, you do get let's see, same stuff for K to 12, but for just $50 a year, I think you do get that response moderation. So that would be a nice add there for just $50 a year. It says best for day-to-day classroom use for K to 12. So lots of options here. I think it's a nifty little product. There are others like this, but the reason I like this was that it's a quick app that you can add right to a modern version of PowerPoint and have it embedded right within your presentation. So
that's pretty cool. Have you seen anybody do that in a presentation? Have you seen anybody do that kind of thing in a presentation you've attended, or have you done it? Or
I have I've seen it done in a couple of conferences. Now they didn't use that tool. They used kind of a back channel tool where you could I think use Twitter to use a hashtag, and then they show that or aggregate that, or tweet a certain response, and then they aggregate the results. But I haven't seen this tool used. I don't know how old this tool is, but it seems like it's a nice fit for a lot of our schools at this point, or any presenter who wants that real-time feedback, especially if they can assume that everybody has a device with them. And it can be just a text message, or it can be a website. So pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. I'd like to see it used more. That's neat. All right, we're going to do community feedback.
I think we should.
Yes, and we have some community feedback, some late-breaking community feedback even. But I will start with some community feedback from a listener on Facebook. It was from Sean O'Connor, and he asked us if we had a recommendation for a DVD player app for Windows 8 or 8.1. And we recommended the one that's built into the software, obviously, but as an alternative, perhaps VLC would work for Sean. Yep. And Sean replied that the built-in one asked him for an internet connection when he tried to use it at church on Sunday.
Because I think
So,
I think the reason for that, as I was thinking about that, is there's a setting in there that asks, because it works with Xbox Music or that whole system, the Xbox system, and it wants to go to the internet to try and catalog it, give cover art or album art, and
mhm.
wants to pull in more information, kind of like IMDb does for that kind of stuff. So I think that's probably the reason for that. But VLC is a great tool that'll play almost any kind of video. And I use it all the time. It allows you to not only play it, but you can export it and convert it into different formats. It's cross-platform, so you can get it for a Mac or PC or Linux. The interface is not all that great, but it is open source, and it definitely does the trick.
The price is right, huh?
It's free, yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. A couple of links from our Digo group. One by me. It's to a website called Bawt. I really like how they spell it. Bawte.
A
Bawt.
good old Southern pronunciation.
Yeah, that's right. And the concept here is that when we buy new gadgets or whatever they may be, they all come with registration cards and documentation and warranties. And you can use this app and website to track all that for you. So you pretty much just tell it what you've bought, and it will allow you to access the warranty information or the documentation or whatever you might need. It does all that for you without you having to keep up with the paperwork. I know we've got a file cabinet full of all of that kind of documentation, and there are times when you need to reference it, but going digital with it and having someone else manage it for you sounds like a really great idea to me.
So it looks like you can take a picture of things that you need the original for, but then it acts as kind of a database for all that.
Yep, and you can even take a photo of the barcode, and it'll find the information that's available on that particular product.
Oh, cool! I really
Yeah.
need this.
Yeah, looks like a good deal. So check it out.
Right.
Check it out, Martin, and tell us about it, because you'll be the one who will do that, I bet. All right. We also, via Digo, heard from Jason Winjet, who shared an article about building a help desk with Google Apps tools. And Jason commented some great ideas for some of our smaller schools where you might need to be teacher, basketball coach, IT director, janitor, help desk, crossing guard, all in one. I think that happens a lot, actually.
That is a kind of a standard Wells job description. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so the concept of using Google Apps is really cool, because many of our schools are Google Apps for Education schools, and they're just kind of putting together a Google site with some forms to fill out questionnaires, about the problems and so on. They kind of walk you through the whole process of creating what could be a help desk interface for you on the cheap using your free Google Apps tools. So check it out if you're looking for a solution like that for your church or school. And then finally, there's been lots of activity over on Twitter, and thankfully my good friend Martin reminded me to check there, because for some reason it had slipped through the cracks, but there have been some #WELSTech tweets, #WELSTech tweets. The first of which is a link to what I would guess is a new blog. It's called The Quotable Wells Teacher. I have not had time to dig into this very far, but it looks like it could be an interesting new blog on the blogosphere spectrum. So check out the Quotable Wells Teacher blog.
Who's behind that? Do you know?
That's a good question. And I just found this out right before we started. It looks like it's by Andy Van Weele, Weele. And he says he's a principal and junior high teacher at Lord of Light Lutheran School in Friendswood, Texas. So thank you, Andy, for letting your voice be heard.
It's
yeah,
cool.
It's nice. We'll read up and I'm sure have more to share from Andy in the future.
We'll see if he's quotable.
Yeah. Also via Twitter, someone I know posted an article called The Social Media Handbook, Church Edition. Yep. And this is about podcasting, Martin? Or it is a podcast?
It is a podcast. I have not listened to it. I just ran across it and thought I'm going to get this on my list and see if this Church Mag podcast is worth listening to. So if anybody has done that, I would welcome feedback, see if it's worth our time. I didn't know that it existed. So being in the podcasting business ourselves, I thought it might be a good listen. So
Yeah, definitely. It looks like on this particular show they're talking about a new ebook that they're going to have for sale
right.
on the Church Meg site about, and I just lost the title of it, but it's up here, Social Media Handbook. Fits right in with our WELSTech Wiki discussion. We'll be sure to add a link to the wiki to this podcast. Give it a listen. And then finally via Twitter, this is from our friend Drew Willems. Maybe he picked this up at ISTE because he tweeted it just a little bit ago, how to enroll Chromebook devices. And his tweet specifically mentioned that there's a new Chromebook forced re-enrollment feature. So the description here, the instructions here have been updated for this re-enroll Chromebook devices, which I know is important. Many of you are finishing up your first year with Chromebooks and looking at setting them up for the second year. So check out the instructions provided by our friends at Google, and thank you, Drew Willems, for sharing that.
Was it Drew or Ted Klug, or did he retweet it?
You know what? That would be Ted Klug. Okay, whatever. They're one and the same. They're
you do see them a lot together.
Okay. Sorry about that.
We had them both on the show, I think. So
yeah.
That
Good stuff. Thank you.
All right. That's probably enough. If you would want to contribute yourself, we will try and get it on the show.
Maybe we'll actually give the right person credit.
No, Sally will find it. So
yeah, there you go.
Probably your best bet. But no, any avenue we eventually find and put it on the show. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Google Plus, WELSTech at wels.net is the email address. We'll definitely take a look at that, and wellstech.wels.net is our website. So next week, we already told you what was coming up. We do have a new YouTube playlist for you this week. We called it Instructional. So there's a lot of content out there that we run across that we wanted to share with you that would have application for different kinds of things that you might do in your classroom, in a ministry setting, or as a webmaster, or somebody responsible for putting images on your website. And this one comes from one of my favorite subscriptions on YouTube, and that's from Adorama, which is actually a store, a photography store. But so you'll see a couple little ads in these videos. But every so often, actually, maybe every week or so, they have a series called Keep Shooting with Brian Peterson, who's kind of a character. And he does 5-10 minute little instructional videos on different camera techniques. And this was on the rule of thirds as it relates to the horizon. So a little 5-minute demo. He's in Holland, and he's showing you how to set the horizon based on what's in the shot. Should it be more sky? Should it be more ground? Should it be right in the middle? Those different options. So the instructional playlist first entry is entitled Rule of Thirds. So enjoy that playlist. If you go to, how do we get people there? Do they have to go to our website to find that?
Well, we're embedding each of the videos on the weekly show notes, and then there's links there so you can get to the playlist as well as the specific video.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Sally, you're off on vacation soon here, so you're leaving me all by myself for next week. But then I'm going to do the same to you. In fact, I'm going to do it to you 2 weeks in a row, so I will owe you one. So when you tune in next week, it'll just be me. If you tune in the following 2 weeks, might just be Sally. She's making some efforts to find a replacement for me, which is just fine. So we'll see how that goes.
Looking forward to vacation, Martin, and being refreshed and coming back and being on the WELSTech podcast with our great listeners.
You're going south, right?
No, we're probably going west. We may go to just camping at Camp Phillip. We'll see.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going south. Okay. Well, west is okay, too. I'm going east. up to the Northeast. Never
Oh,
been to
that would be
Boston,
east.
Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, all that good stuff up there. New
Yeah.
York.
Mine would be east, as in the other west. Yeah, mine would be east as well. Whatever, some
Well, you are,
direction,
yeah,
not
going
here.
kind of east, yes. A
Yeah,
little bit east, but still in the Midwest.
that's right.
All right, enough of that. Thanks everybody for joining us. We will talk, or I will talk to you next week.